Hello, and welcome to the Indigenous Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we will be having a little bit different format. With the holidays and the end of the year, things have been winding down. So I just wanted to take some time to kind of recap everything that our program has accomplished this year, some of the key highlights and successes. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Cecilia Pacheco, and I am the program manager for our New Mexico Tribal Entrepreneurship Enhancement Program that we have here at UNM Rainforest Innovations. And so this podcast is part of our greater program, so it's just a small aspect of it. But it has served as a way for us to have a platform to tell Indigenous entrepreneurial stories, successes, and just provide a space for those stories and voices to be heard and shared. But as part of the bigger picture, our program has been doing a lot of work out in different parts of New Mexico, different tribal areas and rural areas, and that work is all thanks to our wonderful tribal liaisons. You've heard from all of them at some point on the podcast. And they are just amazing. They're doing an amazing job meeting with different entrepreneurs, Indigenous entrepreneurs throughout the state, interviewing them, assessing what their needs and barriers are, and then connecting them to the different programs and resources that we have available in our entrepreneurial ecosystem here in New Mexico. So I just want to give a huge shout out to them. Maiteka Lee, Scott Tafoya, Zachariah Ben, and then our newest liaisons, which are Joseph Toledo and Heather Gomez. Thank you so much for the work that you all have done over the past year and a half that we've been running this program. So just to get into a little bit of the highlights of what our liaisons and our program has accomplished so far is we have interviewed approximately 87 different Indigenous entrepreneurs throughout the state, and using that data that we collected, we were able to put an infographic together that highlights kind of what the current entrepreneurial ecosystem looks like for Native American businesses, both on and off of tribal land. And using that information that we've collected, we've been able to inform our program, other programs, just to help continue to connect Indigenous entrepreneurs to resources available that will help them reach their business goals, as well as build out our entrepreneurial ecosystem so that we have a stronger network of support, not just in the more urban parts of our state, but in the rural and tribal parts of New Mexico. One exciting thing that we've done this year is we had our very first entrepreneur boot camp for Native American veterans, which was in partnership with Hesperus and Syracuse University's Dianiello Institute for Veterans and Military Families. So we partnered with them for this program. It was also in partnership with UNM and the Veteran Services and American Indian Student Services at UNM. So it just, again, shows the amazing things that can come from partnering and collaborating versus competing. So that was the very first entrepreneurship bootcamp for Native American veterans that we had. And that took place in April. There were 4 weeks that were online, and then 1 week which was in person here at the Lobo Rainforest building where our offices are held, and then they did 1 day on UNM campus. We had a cohort of 6 amazing Native American veteran entrepreneurs, and it was a very powerful week. We did a lot of sharing and learning, and it was just a great way to inform our program and for future programming as well, because we had presenters both from, I guess what you could call more of the westernized form of thought when it comes to entrepreneurship and startups. But then we also had several tribal entrepreneurs who are running their businesses on tribal land. And so it was very interesting to see insight from them and the contrast that comes with running your business on and off of tribal land. So it was just a very powerful week. And I was so honored to be a part of it. And we're looking forward to hosting our second boot camp in the new year. In 2024, we will be having it again. So keep a lookout for that information. It is open to all Native American veterans throughout the state of New Mexico, but also throughout the greater United States. We are focusing in on southwestern New Mexico. Yeah, just a great opportunity. So if you know of any Native American veteran entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, please inform them about that program and connect them with me, because we would like to grow our cohort to have not just 6, but maybe 12 or even 20. So yeah, that was a super exciting thing that we did this year, and I'm looking forward to hosting that again in the new year. We've made multiple strategic partnerships and connections. Of course, New Mexico Community Capital and AIBE, I have to shout them out because they are essential resource providers to our Indigenous entrepreneurs here in the state of New Mexico. We also partnered with the New Mexico Economic Development Department of Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, aka JEDI. And we're working with them to continue to assess those needs and barriers throughout the state, sharing with them the data we've collected, and just trying to work with them to inform certain policies that make it a little harder for tribal entrepreneurs to navigate the system in New Mexico, access capital. So that partnership is really important, and I think it will have a lot of great benefits in the future to hopefully make, like I said, the system easier to navigate for not just New Mexico entrepreneurs, but tribal and Native American owned businesses. I have a whole list of people that I want to shout out, and forgive me if I forget anyone, but a few partnerships that we made. Let's see, Raven Indigenous Capital Partners, shout out to Nicole Johnny, Sandia FedTechs, Golden Ventures, the Native American Agricultural Fund, MBDA, Export Center, San Juan College, their University Center and their food hub, SIPI, the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, Red W, Dene College. We have had some conversations with Navajo Nation Economic Development Department, Navajo Technical University, the SBA, VBOC, the Poe Cultural Center, Brainstorm Consulting, Laguna Community Foundation, and the Alliance for Local Economic Prosperity. That's just a small list of the connections and relationships that we were able to forge this past year. And a lot of them, I think, are just small buds that I hope will bloom into bigger initiatives and collaborations come 2024. We also launched our podcast, the Indigenous Entrepreneurs Podcast, on Spotify and YouTube. I'm working on getting it on Apple Podcasts, but I've had a little technical issues with that. But hopefully in 2024, we will get it on Apple Podcasts. And I have to thank all of you for bearing with me. I am not a professional podcaster by any means, so it was a project that I was just given, and I decided to run with it, and it has been a lot of fun, and we've been able to hear so many awesome stories and talk with so many amazing entrepreneurs and just people in general. So thank you for everyone who has accepted my invitation to be interviewed, and for everyone who listens and tunes in. I really appreciate it. I think storytelling is very powerful and a great way to continue to support our Indigenous entrepreneurs throughout the state of New Mexico. Another accomplishment or highlight that I wanted to mention was we hired 2 new liaisons this year. Unfortunately, our liaisons, Angelo and Jacqueline McHorse, had to step away from their role. They were a really great asset and contributors to our team, but their business is growing, their family is growing, and so they needed to, prioritize, and we completely support them in their decision. But that opened up things up, so we had to find 2 new liaisons, and we were very lucky to find Joseph Toledo and Heather Gomez, who are just starting off, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be really awesome additions to our team, and you will probably be hearing more from them on here in the new year. I also want to just congratulate Angela and Jacqueline on all their successes because they're great and they're amazing leaders for Northern New Mexico and Taos Pueblo. So definitely thankful for the time that they did spend with us in 2022 and 2023. Let's see. I have a lot of success stories that I will probably highlight in future episodes, just to continue to update you all on the progress of our program and this project, which, by the way, is funded by the Economic Development Administration by an ARPA grant. Just one success story, again, just regarding Angelo and Jacqueline. Even though they had to step away from their role as a liaison, they did mention a desire to create their own program modeled after our program, but tweaked a little and targeted more towards their specific community of Taos, New Mexico and Taos Pueblo. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that, because one of the goals of our program, is to kind of plant those seeds for more programming like ours and support for entrepreneurs to grow, right? So having Angela and Jacqueline, hearing that they have that desire, to create their own program, we see that as a success. And I'm sure once they are able to do that, it will just, plant more seeds and then create more businesses and more jobs and economic development, not just for New Mexico, but also for their local economy. So definitely looking forward, and stay tuned to that because I'm excited to see what they do in the future. And like I said, I'll come on here to share some more of those success stories because we post them on our website, but I think it's important for me to highlight them here. Some of them have already been interviewed, but I think I want to share, just a little brief snippet from more of the program manager's perspective, just to kind of inform people about our program, our progress, our journey, and just the overall goals and desire to continue to support and uplift Indigenous entrepreneurs throughout the state of New Mexico. With that, I do want to speak about a few challenges and I guess you could say trends or themes that we've identified over the past year and a half on this podcast, also through private interviews and discovery sessions that the liaisons have been engaging in. The first one is the need for financial literacy education and access to capital for tribal entrepreneurs. I think that one is pretty obvious. Financial literacy and access to capital in general is a huge need for entrepreneurs, but when it comes to tribal and indigenous entrepreneurs, um, there's a little bit different background there, and also a need to build more trust amongst the tribal community. So there aren't currently a lot of financial literacy trainings that have that like cultural aspect in mind. There are a few and they are growing. So our liaison, Maiteka Lee, she does an amazing job providing financial literacy training for her community, and she does have that background and cultural understanding. And her organization, Southwest Native Assets Coalition, just received a grant from Wells Fargo, so she will be able to expand that financial literacy training, and we will probably be doing some partnered events with her in the new year. And I also know New Mexico Community Capital also has a financial literacy training that's really good. But those are the only ones out there that I know of that kind of start from square one with personal financial literacy and then build on it into that business financial literacy. So there are steps being taken to kind of address that need that we've seen, but I do think we have more work to do. So I just wanted to highlight that as something that our liaisons discovered. Related to this need and barrier of financial literacy and access to capital is the recurring topic and issue of federal trust land. So when tribal entrepreneurs start an individually owned business on tribal land, a lot of times it's almost impossible for them to qualify for funding from a bank or even from the state. Even if it's a successful business, because if it's located on tribal land and if it's federal trust land, then the entrepreneur cannot claim their business as an asset. Therefore, they cannot qualify for funding, which they would otherwise qualify for. So that is a huge barrier that a lot of our liaisons and entrepreneurs we've talked to have had to face while navigating their entrepreneurial journey. And then in addition, sometimes if the business is located on tribal land, they won't qualify for like state grants because they're only registered with the tribe, not with the state. So that has also been a barrier and a challenge. And so we're trying to figure out ways to make that system easier to navigate for entrepreneurs both on and off of tribal land. And our liaisons are currently brainstorming ways to navigate that. A lot of them have navigated it, but we're just, trying to come up with solutions now. So if any of you guys have ideas, please, please, please comment or reach out to me via email, because we are trying to help make the system easier for entrepreneurs, tribal entrepreneurs, as well as just regular entrepreneurs to navigate. So please, I would be happy to hear your thoughts and ideas on that item that we have identified over the past year and a half. And then another theme and need that has been identified is an abundance of resources and programming available, but lack of awareness by entrepreneurs and the local community. So this is where our liaisons really serve a huge role, because they are those boots on the ground connectors and informants. They are always talking to people in their community and informing them about the programs and resources available to them. So I would definitely call for more kinds of those roles to be supported, not just from our program, but like I said, if other people adopted our model, we're able to fund more boots on the ground roles to support tribal entrepreneurs, I think that would be awesome. And that also goes for rural entrepreneurs, not just tribal. Systemic challenges have been identified both on and off the reservation, including misalignment between state, federal, and tribal policies. So this can create confusion and make things harder to navigate when starting a business. So based on these discoveries, there has also been an expressed need for support and/or hubs in local communities that provide a supportive environment, including help from tribal government to help create pathways for their local entrepreneurs to follow. A few other things that have been identified that I think we will probably plan future podcast episodes on is mental health and generational traumas have been expressed as barriers towards individuals being able to start and run a successful business. However, it has also been identified that entrepreneurship can be a source of healing for some tribal entrepreneurs. So our liaison, Zachariah Ben, has spoken a lot on this. I believe we have at least one episode where he shares his story and how entrepreneurship has been healing for him. There are other stories of other individuals as well who have pursued their business, and it has actually led to a lot of healing for them, which I think is awesome. And let's see here. So now I've gone over those challenges. I wanted to mention a few potential solutions that have been identified by our liaisons and by people who we have interviewed, tribal entrepreneurs who we've interviewed. So based on their experiences and discovery sessions, tribal liaisons, along with other tribal entrepreneurs, have begun to brainstorm potential solutions going forward. So one that has been mentioned several times is creating a council of some sort of entrepreneurs to be part of state and tribal economic development departments, where entrepreneurs with lived experiences of challenges and barriers can inform policy and systemic change that will improve access and navigating the system for tribal entrepreneurs. So this kind of relates to the partnership that we have forged with the New Mexico JEDI, with the State Economic Development Department, because that is their goal, is to have conversations with entrepreneurs to help identify systemic barriers and where maybe we need some policy change or additional resources. So that's a step in the right direction. But I do think the idea of having a board or a council of entrepreneurs as part of state government, that and possibly even different tribal governments, that could have a positive impact on helping create a system that works better and is easier to navigate for entrepreneurs and then, of course, tribal entrepreneurs. Another potential solution that our liaisons have come up with is educate and inform entrepreneurs regarding personal and financial literacy so that they are well equipped to grow and scale their businesses. So again, Maitega Lee and Southwest Native Assets Coalition are doing a great job of kind of starting and continuing this effort to address that specific topic. And then we also think it's important to educate and inform entrepreneurs of the importance of being aware of their local, state, federal, and tribal policies regarding starting a business. and actively advocate for and brainstorm new policies or workarounds or ways to navigate. And then we also want to empower communities and tribal leaders to create new pathways for individual entrepreneurship to be possible. We really want these efforts to be community and tribe led by the community and tribe and entrepreneurs. We do not want it to be led by us or by an outside entity. These are efforts that really do need to be led by the entrepreneurs in their communities and their tribe. And then also just continue to advocate for tribes to establish offices or departments of entrepreneurship, or to fund their own navigator roles for their own tribes. And we would be happy, to have other people use our model or partner with us or work with us if they would be interested in establishing their own roles and finding funding that would support that. So again, definitely open to conversations and to working with people interested in discussing these solutions, potential solutions further, or if you have ideas, always open for a conversation and to learn more, right? Because a big part of our program is that discovery and having those conversations and really sitting down and listening. So if you would like to inform me of any ideas or solutions or barriers you've encountered, I would be more than happy to sit down and have a listening session with you. But on the whole, we've had a really successful year. One thing that I haven't mentioned yet is we also have been hosting entrepreneur engagement events. We've done 2 in Santa Clara Pueblo, 2 where we go out there and work with the entrepreneurs there and host talks on topics that the community has identified as a need or desire. So we're having another one at Santa Clara on January 18th, where we'll be talking about IP and trademarks, because that's been a huge topic that they've identified as wanting to learn more about. So we'll be doing that in the new year, and then we will be hosting a entrepreneur and community engagement event in Taos Pueblo with Aspen Song Kids. So we're also looking forward to that. I think, we've done a lot in a year and a half as far as engagement, discovery, and creating those relationships goes, and our liaisons, being that connector for the entrepreneurs to the resources. I can't express all the amazing work that they've done and continue to do. And I'm just so thankful for our liaison team and for all the support that we've received from other partner organizations. It's amazing to see the movement and the excitement when it comes to Indigenous entrepreneurship and tribal entrepreneurship. So I'm very, thankful to be a part of that and to have the chance to sit down with people who have been on their entrepreneur journey and just listen and learn from them. So thank you everyone who has come on here. Again, thank you for sharing your stories and for giving me your time and your stories and your wisdom and all of that. So 2023 has been a good and busy year for the New Mexico Tribal Entrepreneurship Enhancement Program, and I believe that 2024 will be just as busy and just as good and hopefully just as fruitful.